Céline Dion recently shocked the world by announcing she's been diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, leaving us all wondering if she'll ever be able to perform again. So what do we know about stiff person syndrome, and is it something that we should all be worried about? To help us with this, we've got the one and only Dr. Kohli with us today. Thank you so much, Dr. Kohli, for answering our questions. A lot of people have been writing in about this.
Yeah, so Dr. Kohli, a lot of us had never heard of this illness until Celine's announcement. What are some of the symptoms and how is it treated?
You know, honestly, it's so rare. It's a 1 in a million that I've only seen one single case of it in my medical training. It was during medical school, very dramatic, because I walked into the room. The person was literally like a board on their bed, couldn't get out of bed, couldn't move, and they had asymmetry, so one side was more involved than the other. But this has been around for some time. It used to be called stiff man syndrome, but then we realized it actually affects females a little more commonly than males, and so they changed the name to stiff person syndrome. And you know, we have our brain and our spinal cord has nerves that control our muscles, and it sends signals through chemicals to control those muscles. And basically the chemicals that are involved in those signals are what's damaged in stiff person syndrome. So the muscles get stuck in the on position. The off chemical is basically affected. So think about it like your stereo with the volume turned up all the way. You know, the muscles are really rigid. And we're not just talking minor muscle spasms. These are muscle spasms that can make you fall over, that can make you scream out in pain, that can prevent you from doing anything. And unfortunately, there's no cure. You just sort of treat the symptoms.
Oh my gosh.
I feel so bad for Céline.
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine.
Okay, so this next story, sorry, trying to process it, but Dr. Kohli, we wanted to get your opinion because this next story is pretty crazy. It's all over. It's gone viral. So the nurses from an Atlanta hospital were fired after posting videos mocking their patients. It's all part of a TikTok trend of people describing their quote-unquote icks or things that annoy them. So let's take a look, and then we're going to talk to Dr. Kohli.
My ick is when you come in for your induction talking about, can I take a shower and eat?
What? My ick is when you ask me how much the baby weighs and it's still in your hands.
Dad comes outside and asks for a paternity test right outside the room door.
So Dr. Kohli, what are your thoughts on this, and have you ever encountered anything similar?
You know, this happens all the time behind closed doors in medicine, right? People work in medicine, they get annoyed by things, but this sort of a public display on social media of something so private. You know, when you go into the doctor's office and you close that door, we've taken an oath to keep everything between us and the patient. No matter what they tell you, no matter how egregious it is, no matter how much it might disagree with your beliefs or, you know, the way that you conduct your life. To put it on public display like this, to me, they shouldn't just have been fired. I think they should actually get their medical license revoked. I think these nurses need to be made an example of, because this is becoming an epidemic in medicine where doctors are, you know, getting rid of patient privacy, getting rid of patient respect by displaying all types of things. Like one of my friends who got in big trouble put in his surgery. He was doing a surgery on somebody who had a big tumor in a kind of a strange place, and he put that patient's surgery on social media.
My God.
Now, he didn't use the patient's name, but imagine if you are that patient or that patient's family and you see this kind of a mockery on social media. I mean, this is not a reality show, guys. This is people's lives, their health problems, their ups and their downs, and to make a joke out of it like this, I think is incredibly unprofessional.
Yeah, I thought it was outrageous. I was glad it was Emory University. I was glad they were fired. I also think their medical license, just because of the basic necessity of being kind. Like, one of them was like, my ick factor is when somebody wants a blanket.
What if they didn't know? Let me play devil's advocate here, because I'm not condoning it. But what if the person filming them, what if they had a couple of followers and they just thought, oh, I'm participating in this trend, you caught me off guard, and then the person uploads it and then boom, it exploded. Again, not condoning it, but do you give them any benefit of the doubt?
No, that's a breach of the Hippocratic Oath, isn't it? I mean, you really can't do that.
And you're being filmed. It's not, you're not having this conversation in the break room. You're performing for social media to get followers. And this is what makes me really upset, because doctors are also jumping onto this trend, and we need to stop it right now.
All right, Dr. Kohli, thank you so much for being here and, of course, answering all of our questions. If you have a question for Dr. Kohli, please write us. You can also follow Dr. Kohli on Twitter at Payal Kohli MD, and we could read your question on air. Thanks again, Dr. Kohli. We'll be right back.